Imagine a land of rugged mountains and sweeping deserts, a landlocked nation that has been both the cradle and the grave of empires. Afghanistan, a country whose very terrain seems to echo with the weight of its tumultuous history. For centuries, this crossroads of civilizations has been a battleground for conquerors and ideologies. But in the 21st century, it became the epicenter of a conflict that would reshape the world order. Today, we unravel the story of the Afghanistan War, a saga of hope, despair, resilience, and tragedy that spanned 2 decades and touched millions of lives. Our story begins on a crisp September morning in 2001, when the unthinkable happened. The world watched in horror as 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York City, another into the Pentagon, and a 4th into a Pennsylvania field. These coordinated terrorist attacks, orchestrated by the extremist group Al-Qaeda, claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 people and shattered the illusion of American invulnerability. The mastermind behind this atrocity, Osama bin Laden, found safe haven under the protection of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. The United States, reeling from the devastation, launched its War on Terror, a campaign that would soon engulf Afghanistan. On October 7, 2001, the skies over Afghanistan filled with the thunder of US and NATO warplanes. Operation Enduring Freedom had begun. The mission was clear: dismantle Al-Qaeda, topple the Taliban, and ensure Afghanistan would never again serve as a breeding ground for terrorism. Within weeks, the Taliban's control over the capital, Kabul, crumbled. The images of jubilant Afghans celebrating their newfound freedom filled television screens worldwide. An interim government was established, with Hamid Karzai at its helm, and the international community pledged to rebuild Afghanistan. Yet, beneath this facade of victory lay a much darker reality. Afghanistan's intricate tribal structures, deep-seated ethnic divides, and centuries-old resistance to foreign interference were challenges no military force could easily overcome. The Taliban, though ousted, were not defeated. They retreated to the rugged borderlands of Pakistan, regrouping and launching a deadly insurgency. Their influence spread like wildfire through rural Afghanistan, exploiting grievances against corruption and foreign occupation to win back support. For the next 20 years, Afghanistan became a crucible of war, hope, and heartbreak. The US and NATO forces, peaking at over 130,000 troops, battled insurgents in one of the most challenging terrains on Earth. The Afghan National Army and police, trained and funded by the international community, faced constant attacks and staggering casualties. The Taliban used guerrilla tactics, roadside bombs, and suicide bombings to devastating effect, while other extremist groups, like ISIS-K, added layers of chaos to an already complex conflict. The toll on the Afghan people was immeasurable. Villages were razed, families torn apart, and lives lost in the crossfire. Yet, amidst the suffering, there were glimmers of progress. Urban centers saw improvements in infrastructure, and millions of girls attended school for the first time in decades. Women's voices, silenced under the Taliban, grew louder as they participated in government, business, and education. A young generation emerged, hopeful for a brighter future in a globalized world. However, these advancements were often overshadowed by systemic failures. Corruption plagued the Afghan government, eroding trust among its citizens. The booming opium trade fueled both the insurgency and organized crime. As years turned into decades, public support for the war waned in the US and its allied nations, where the costs in lives and resources became increasingly difficult to justify. The question loomed, how does this war end? In February 2020, a potential answer emerged. the US and the Taliban signed a peace agreement in Doha, Qatar. The deal stipulated a timeline for the withdrawal of American troops in exchange for Taliban commitments to prevent terrorism. But the agreement's exclusion of the Afghan government sowed seeds of instability. When US forces began their final withdrawal in 2021, the Taliban launched a lightning offensive, capturing city after city with alarming speed. By August 15, 2021, Kabul fell without a fight, marking the Taliban's return to power. The world watched in disbelief as chaotic scenes unfolded at Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport. Thousands of Afghans, desperate to escape, clung to departing aircraft, embodying the fear and uncertainty that gripped the nation. The US's longest war had ended, but its legacy remained deeply contentious. For the Afghan people, the Taliban's return meant a rollback of freedoms and a renewed struggle for survival. What lessons can be drawn from the Afghanistan war? Was it a necessary response to the horrors of September 11th, or a costly misstep born of misplaced ambition? The war's staggering financial cost, exceeding $2 trillion, and the loss of countless lives demand reflection. The international community continues to grapple with how to support Afghanistan under Taliban rule, addressing the urgent humanitarian crisis while advocating for human rights. Afghanistan's story is not just one of war, but of resilience and an unyielding desire for peace. Its people have weathered invasions, occupations, and civil wars, yet their spirit endures. As we look back on this chapter of history, let us honor the sacrifices made and commit to learning from its lessons. The Afghanistan war reminds us of the complexities of conflict and the enduring importance of striving for a world where peace prevails. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth stories of global significance.